If you've ever slept in a dorm, you know the noises. It's the ones you can't place that keep you awake. Tonight, a roommate who never checked out, a smart dorm that unlocks itself, and a floor your campus swears doesn't exist. I'm telling these the way they were told to me. Soft, like we're sharing a secret across the glow of a desk lamp. The air hums with vents and far-off laughter, but there's a colder thread underneath, the kind that makes you watch your door and pretend you're not. These are allegedly true. Names blurred, buildings you might recognize if you've walked them at night. Listen for the details. A chain that latches by itself, a time stomp that won't stop repeating, a hallway mapped nowhere. There's a door you're not supposed to find, with a name that shouldn't be there. First, the roommate who never checked out. Ashby Hall had the kind of brick that sweats in August and holds onto January like a grudge. The cinderblock walls flaked in the corners like old scabs. When I rolled my suitcase down the corridor, every door had a corkboard smile of welcome notes. Mine had two names, mine printed neat, and somebody else's in fading Sharpie. Your roommate's delayed, the Raw said, glancing at her clipboard. Flight cancellations. She smiled like it wasn't her first lie of the day. I claimed the bed by the window and tried to picture a second toothbrush beside mine, a second pile of laundry, a voice to fill the seams of the night. That first night I left the other bed made, out of courtesy or superstition. Ashby's radiator breathed like an old dog. You learn your dorm's vocabulary fast. The elevator groan, the throat clearing in the pipes. The distant whoop from the stairwell. It's the noises you can't place that keep you awake. Around 2 a.m. I heard fabric exhale, not a blanket sliding, an impression forming. In the dark, the extra bed had a dip, the kind a body leaves when it rolls toward the wall. I told myself mattresses settle. I found the chain latched in the morning, canted into its bracket from the inside. I stood there, toothbrush foaming, looking at that thin line of brass like it had betrayed me. I had opened the door to pee at 3 a.m. I knew I had. The chain couldn't be latched unless someone did it after. I took a picture anyway, because you do that now. Proof against your own memory. Closet smelled like warm shampoo when I slid it open, a steam-slick sweetness that didn't belong to me. On the shelf sat an empty travel bottle, still beaded as if set down damp. I asked the Mara if there had been a cleaning glitch. She chewed her lip. "I'll put in a work order," she said. Sometimes housekeeping leaves things. That night, I lay awake listening to the radiator and the breath beside it that wasn't mine. Once, a cough. Not dry, wet, apologetic. I froze the way you do when your name is almost said, as if moving would make it real. I messaged housing at 4:07 a.m., sat on my hands and watched the gray come up the window. On day 3, Mara knocked. She came in, took in the dented bed, the chain, the shampoo ghost, and sat on the desk chair like it had suddenly gotten heavy. "You're not the first," she said quietly. "Last winter, the student in this room checked out before break. They didn't make it home." She looked at me the way people do when they retrying to soften facts with their eyes. Sometimes rooms hold on. You'll hear the chain latch itself. That's what she warned me before we stepped into the hall to test the lock. Me with my keys, her with the raw master. We closed the door, let it click, and stood there under the buzzing exit sign. The corridor smelled like old coffee and hallway detergent. We waited. Metal slid, a quick forward scrape, then the neat, unmistakable drop of weight into a notch. The chain had moved. We hadn't touched it. It had the casual confidence of a habit. Mara swore softly and fitted her master key. The knob turned. The chain caught. She jiggled, tried again. The radiator hissed on the other side like a thing roused. "Okay," she breathed and put her shoulder to the wood. It gave an inch, the chain pulling taut, the view narrowing to a warm, dim wedge of my room, and the hollow of that second bed cupped like a hand. Heat rolled out. Not steam heat, not electronics, body heat. I put my fingers to the blanket without thinking. The fabric gave, hot as if someone had just risen and stepped away. Jesus, Mara said. Her lanyard swung and tapped the frame. When she drew back to try the key again, her face changed. She held not the brass raw master, but a cheap orientation lanyard, blue frayed at the edges. The plastic sleeve carried a name I didn't know, in a serifed campus font we don't use anymore, and the year under it belonged to a Class 5 Winters Gone. A thin hotel keycard sat behind the plastic like a tongue, stamped void in red. I didn't, she started, and then she dropped it like it stung. The master had been there. We both saw it. Now it wasn't. The chain, suddenly light, fell free. We opened the door all the way. The bed was smooth. The closet was dry. The room looked like a room. I packed in 15 minutes, rolling shirts with shaking hands. Emergency room change, Mara said, her voice hoarse. She didn't argue. She didn't look at the bed. When I left, I glanced back. The other pillow was turned inward, the faintest half-moon pressed into its corner like somebody listening. Old halls keep their losses the way bricks keep heat. I told myself newer buildings would be different. Clean lines, keycards, cameras, control. I was wrong. What do you do when whatever wants in already has credentials? Old halls radiate memory like radiators radiate heat. You expect the past to breathe, so I fled to glass and steel, a place that promised keycards and cameras. But what if the building is brand new? Apps and auto locks, and whatever wants in already has credentials. The next haunting doesn't whisper, it timestamps. It shows up in access logs, in thermostat resets, in a 3:17 a.m. push alert you can't explain. North Quad smelled like new plastic and ambition. No portraits, no pitted brick, just glass, steel, and a wall tablet by every door. Everything ran through the campus app. Lights, locks, thermostat, status. I told myself hauntings don't like passwords. First night, I set the deadbolt, toggled occupied, and watched the seal engage. At 3:17 a.m., my phone pinged, door opened. The door was closed, bolt thrown, chain angled home. The tablet woke, brightened like a face sensing a face. Activity feed, tidy rows. 3 hours, 17 minutes, and 4 seconds, unlock inside. User resident 0. 3 hours, 17 minutes, and 5 seconds, door opened. 3 hours, 17 minutes, and 7 seconds, door closed. Resident 0 wasn't in the directory. The avatar was static gray. I screenshotted until my hands stopped shaking. Security said, "Provisioning bug, we'll patch it." I said the bolt was engaged. Said ghost opens don't beat metal. He filed a report, told me to reboot. Night 2, 3:17 again. Light slide 2 occupied, thermostat ratchets 2:59. Frost laced the inside of the glass. My breath misted the phone. The feed repeats. Unlock inside. Resident 0 opened, closed. I texted Mara, my new RA. Tell me this isn't just me. She replied, screenshot everything. Night 3, I sat on the carpet facing the door. Phone opened to the feed. 3:16. The tablet wakes. A white square blooming camera LED ticking alive. 3 hours, 17 minutes, and 3 seconds, unlock inside. The app vibrates. In the black glass, a pale oval leans close, fogs the screen with a slow breath. The unlock icon depresses itself. The door answers with a small, obedient click. The chain ticks against its bracket like a fingernail. Who are you? I ask nobody. The feed rolls. Opened, closed, lights 2 occupied. Temp 2:59. Immaculate timestamps. Daylight inspection. 2 texts. Braidedlanyards.com. Thumbs. Resident Zero is a placeholder, one says. Will purge the ghost record. He doesn't hear himself. They emailed me a CSV of events, need as attendance. Every night, 3 hours, 17 minutes, and 3 seconds, an internal credential, then open, then close. The device health report flagged anomalous simultaneous. Inputs in camera wake without procs. Mara stopped by with a paper form. Old School asked if I wanted a temporary relocation. I said no, because the room felt safer under observation than anywhere dark and dumb. I set my phone to screen record and tried not to nap. By midnight, the corridor was a climate-controlled aquarium, air tasting like pennies. My door's external LED flipped between green and red on its own, a little heartbeat. The occupancy status toggled to guest present, even when I stood alone, hands raised like a suspect for the sensor. Somewhere in the vents, a low whine threaded the silence, more wire than wind. At 2:50, the tablet murmured, preparing update, then backed out without installing. Last night, the building quit pretending. 3:17, the handle hums under my palm like a tuning fork. Both deadbolts jam at once. The app throws a red bar, door engaged from both sides. That isn't a thing I type and get nothing back. Pressure leans from the hall. Another pressure leans from my side. I'm not making. The frame whines. The tablet snaps a photo, flash bleaching the room. I smell old cold, the kind you carry in from outside. Then the pressure goes slack. A thin rectangle slides under the door and stops at my toes. Student ID old style laminate bubbled. The name means nothing. Reverse reads, deactivated, void. Graduation year, 12 years before North Quad existed. The tablet chirps. Warning, unrecognized user present. I set the card down like it might bite. Watch for the 3:17 a.m. Notification you can't explain. Tech fails. Logs lie. Glitches feel personal. Worse are the places your campus swears aren't there at all. Maps can lie. Walls can forget your name. Technology fails, and when it does, it feels personal. Logs, alerts, timestamps, pretending to be proof. Glitches are one thing. What about a place your school insists isn't there? Not a bug, an absence. No entry on the map, no button on the elevator, yet a corridor where the drywall breathes. And a tarnished nameplate waits on a door that shouldn't exist, etched wrong, or worse, etched with your name. Bell Tower Hall awaits. Bell Tower Hall was the kind of pretty that sells sweatshirts. Limestone shoulders, ivy. Housing gave me the top floor single, quiet, because it sat under a sealed attic. After North Quad's apps and alerts, I wanted an older silence, the kind that pretends it has nothing left to say. It held until 2:12 a.m. I woke to steady footsteps above me, measured, human, and a chair scraping as if someone pushed back to stand. Dust quivered from the crown molding. Smell drifted down that wasn't smoke, but what smoke leaves behind, dry, papery. The taste of burned paper lifting into your mouth like a secret you didn't ask to hear. I called facilities. "There's someone in the attic," I said. Static then. There is no attic. The space above 4 is sealed to code. At 2:12 the next night, footsteps, chair, the exact shriek of wood legs on wood floor. I wrote the time down anyway, like proof could change sound. I told myself pipes, and still smelled the afterbreath of a fire that had chosen not to consume me yet. The raw on-duty dev walked me to the top landing. Behind a metal cage and a fake fern hid a door I hadn't seen. Maintenance only, the sign scolded, paint slathered into the seams. A dev rattled his keys. "These are the ones I'm allowed," he said. "Yeah, there's a ring I'm not." That night, 2:12 came like a cue. "Give me 10 minutes," he texted. When he returned, he had a key stamped with a number instead of a room. Metal complained. The door eased. A cool draft pushed out, the papery scent again, intimate now, as if we had breathed it before and forgot. Glitches are one thing, I said, remembering the app that lied. What about a place your school insists isn't there? Dev gave me a look like, please don't make me find out. We stepped into a short corridor the building had tried to forget. Window frames were bricked from the inside. The bricks were crowned with old scorch. Doorways faced each other like burnt teeth. At the third, a tarnished plate waited at eye level, greened where hands had worried it. Wait till you hear what was on the door. My name. Not the nickname my friends use, the full one from financial aid emails, etched in the old campus font they save for monuments and funerals. My stomach turned like a lock. That's not funny, I told Dev, already knowing. The plate had weight. You could see where screws had been set, painted over, unpainted badly, as if history kept changing its mind. Did they name rooms after current students? Dev asked, trying to hand the moment a reasonable outfit that didn't fit. The alarm cut the air, one long animal howl. Red strobes woke the char. We have to go, Dev said, tugging my sleeve. As we turned, the brass letters seemed to shiver in the pulsing light, like they wanted to pronounce me. We spilled into the stairwell. Students poured down past us like marbles shaken from a jar. Outside, the bell tower cut a clean bookmark into the night. Someone touched my shoulder and pointed. Is that? A person. In a window higher than the roofline, a window that had no business belonging to geometry, a figure stood, one hand on a chair back we couldn't see. The silhouette leaned, listening, then turned toward us with the patience of someone who has already been counted among the building's losses. The siren died. Security unlocked the lobby doors with a clunk like a throat deciding to swallow. We went back up with them, where the maintenance door had been. There was only seamless drywall, no hinges, no scars, no threshold shadow. Wrong floor, one guard said. There's no fifth. In my room, the smell hit first, not smoke after, tired ash that made my tongue feel gray. Beside the bed where I'd left the chair, the floor held two prints side by side. Bare feet made not in dust, but of it as if ash had chosen to hold the shape of a person and then reconsidered moving. I didn't touch them. Dev didn't either. He took a photo, then turned his phone over like it might leak. We stood there in the too quiet, both of us counting breaths that didn't belong to us. I slept with the light on. Housing approved a move, and I took it, learning that you can leave a room and still leave part of your name there. Old brick, new glass, and a hallway that shouldn't exist. Ain't three reminders that campuses keep their own strange, stubborn kind of attendance. In Ashby, grief wouldn't check out. It curled the chain and kept the bed warm. In Northquart, data opened the door for a stranger, polite as a push notification. In Bell Tower, the map lied with a straight face, and a nameplate told the truth I didn't want. These stories are allegedly true, but what matters is how they feel at 2 a.m. It's too specific to dismiss, too close to home to ignore. If you've had something follow you across semesters, or floors that weren't there until you needed them, tell your story below. I read them, all of them, even the ones that make me leave the light on. If this kept you company tonight, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's next. I'm collecting RA calls and roommate horror confessions, the things they only say after the keys are turned in and the paperwork is done. You'll want to hear what the night staff won't write down. It's almost that hour again. It's at 3:17 a.m. Check your door. If it says occupied, ask yourself by who.